Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, so we are talking Turner syndrome. This week I want to talk about something I got asked about in the live stream I did a little while ago, and that is family planning. What are the options, and kind of just a little gist or information on each, how each might work, price, and how that kind of looks as a woman with Turner syndrome. So, in general, there are two ways of having a family. The natural way, I don't think I need to explain that, and adoption. Adoption, I'm kind of counting fostering in that. You could also just foster, which would make it a third, instead of doing like foster to adopt. So that is how you have children in your house. That is how you have a family. And for women with Turner's, that first option, due to the infertility, becomes very, 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 very complicated. So to start off, we'll talk about the two options that look closest to normal, or what that looks like, versus the others that look much different. So fertility treatments that TS women are eligible for, or that would work in our given scenario, are twofold. Both of them require being approved by a cardiologist, consulting a reproductive endocrinologist to get approved to go through pregnancy. Because due to the heart problems and health complications that can arise, they will want to check on things with you first before they approve you to go through that. And depending on the state of your system, some options might not work for you versus others might. So this is going to still be very, very very individual, but in general, these are the gists. There's two. The first one is the most expensive, and that is in vitro fertilization, or IVF, with egg donation. So with an egg donor. Under that, there's also the caveat of fresh donor versus frozen egg. Totally different conversation, but there are those details to it as well. So what happens in IVF with egg donation is it's just like a normal IVF routine, except you have the egg part donated. So the growing and harvesting of the eggs that normally happens for the woman in the couple does not happen with you. It happens with a donor. So you choose an egg donor out of profiles, and once you choose that donor, if it is a fresh egg cycle, sounds weird to say, but if it's through a live donor right then, they will start that process of growing and harvesting the eggs and getting them ready for fertilization and implantation. If it is frozen, they will get those eggs to use. So while that side is happening, you are being prepared for that on your side. So you have a different preparation regimen, but you are still doing stuff on your side too. From my understanding, they sync up your cycle with that of the egg donors in a fresh egg donation, so that you will be on the same cycle. In a frozen one, they may not have to worry about that part. They just may take you through a cycle or two. Then the rest of the process is normal IVF. You have fertilization, you have waiting to see how many kind of took, for lack of a better term, and at the end of that, you see what you have, and you would go through the transfer and then go through the normal process of seeing if it was successful after. The second option that can look a little more normal and take you through pregnancy as a Turner syndrome woman is embryo adoption. Embryo adoption is something that I am seriously excited about because it sounds amazing, and is much more affordable, while giving you some feeling of normalcy, which has been what I've always struggled with, where you do still get to go through pregnancy. The biggest difference between the two is where an embryo will already be an embryo, it won't be your egg or your husband's sperm, it'll be an embryo that you're adopting. Whereas in IVF with egg donation, it wouldn't be your egg, but it would be your husband's sperm. So there's differences there. It's also much cheaper. It depends on your area. Some areas are more expensive than others from what I've heard, but most of the numbers that I've heard are significantly lower than the numbers that I've been given for IVF with egg donation. I kind of shy around giving our numbers on here. I know I've said it. The number we were given for IVF with egg donation was $40,000. The number that I was kind of roughly given that it might be around for embryo adoption was $12,000. A huge difference. And I don't want that to feel like me telling you that's how much it is and is going to be, though, because everything can be different depending where you are. So just for us in our area, those were the numbers I was given. Check your area. Yours might be different. Okay, so those are those two. The other option, adoption, also has two little legs under there. You can do traditional adoption, where you go through an adoption agency that facilitates adoptions. There's no working with a county. It's not through foster care. It's just traditional adoption, and it is much more expensive than going through foster care. You get the same experience as far as picking out portfolios, and you go through a home study. Once you're approved, then your profile is put in front of moms looking for a family to adopt their child to. This is going to be somebody that is pregnant, adopting out their child. The child will not already be born at that point. For this side, you're paying agency fees, court fees, filing fees, all the fees. There's a lot of paperwork fees in there. And there's paying your agency and everything, paying court fees, paying for the home study. All of those things cost and are within the cost of what you're paying for a traditional adoption with an adoption agency. Switch over to foster care and foster to adopt. Talk about just foster to adopt right now. In comparison, the county does not charge you for adoption. There may be some filing light court fees that may come up when you do the adoption part, but you are not charged for the home study. You do not pay for the classes. You are not paying agency fees. You're not paying any of that stuff. There's fingerprint scanning. There's some random little things that may come up in going through the approval process that they may have you pay. A decent amount of it gets reimbursed after you've had your first placement placed with you. So even though you're paying for that up front, they're going to give that back. And the cost for things is really not that much. You're talking like $50 for fingerprint scanning. And they're going to reimburse you. So that is a very different financial picture than traditional adoption. The other thing is you can choose in that to just do normal foster care and see what comes. See what scenarios come your way as you're getting placements. The age range you're looking for is going to be different than a traditional adoption also. These kids are already going to be born. You're not waiting for them to be born. They're being placed with you right then. In an emergency situation, they need somewhere to stay. They need a home. And you will get a call, given the details, can you take this child in? Is this a placement you can handle? Yes. that call could come at literally any time of the day. You can give them parameters for when you're okay with getting a call, but that limits you. You can also give them parameters on your age range, but that limits you. And how you have your home set up limits you as well. Do you have an extra bedroom set up? Can you do older ages? Can you take sibling sets? Those are things that you're going to look at as you go through that process, and they're going to talk to you about. Within foster care and foster to adopt, there's also 2 different ways of getting help. You can either go straight through the county, where you'd work with a county social worker to get approved, get licensed, all of that. Or you can go through an agency that kind of acts as your go-between for foster care through the county. So they'll talk to the county for you. While you do have some correspondence, they're kind of your help with navigating the county. So those are 2 very different pictures too. It's really a very personal choice, and kind of, again, how your area is might decide how you wanted to go about that. The fees are the same. So the difference in foster care and foster to adopt would be in foster to adopt, you're narrowing yourself down to not just that age range that you've given them and that you're prepared for, but you're narrowing yourself down to those that the county are looking to adopt out. Those that are looking to be placed for adoption. And that narrows that down quite a bit in some age ranges. So, that was kind of a lot of info. Again, this really looks very different depending on your scenario. There are some Turner syndrome women that, if you're mosaic, it is a higher likelihood that you might be able to spontaneously conceive. It is not guaranteed. It is still very rare, but it has happened, and there's more of an ability for that to be a thing. So with mosaic women, there's some level of you need to know what function you have, what functionality you actually have going on in order to tell if the IVF treatments might work, if they'd be worth doing, where your time might best be spent. So you really want to start by seeing a doctor no matter what route you may go down, because at least then you have that information. And health-wise, that's also going to be a very different picture depending on your situation. What health complications you have and how that affects your ability to carry a pregnancy, to take care of a child, and how that might impact you. So I hope that was helpful. That was kind of a lot of information, but at the same time, kind of just scratching the surface. So leave any questions you have in the comments down below. I love talking about this topic because I do like sharing that there are options. It does not mean you can't be a mom. It does not mean you can't be a parent. And I have found huge fulfillment in embracing our journey. So I hope this helped. I hope this was a good little family planning explanation. If you have other topics within this you'd like to see me do a video on, leave that in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!